One of the most asked questions or debated subjects in ethical hacking in general is regarding the extent to which the hacker uses tools versus manual hacking. Some proponents rely heavily on tool usage, while other hackers swear by manual testing and point fingers at those who use tools. Okay, I might be exaggerating a bit, but the reality is not too far from this intentional exaggeration. Now, what's my intake on this? Well, as cliche as it may sound, I'm somewhere in the middle. I very much appreciate using tools to make your workflow smoother and faster, but I'm also a big fan of manual testing, especially when I look for my favorite vulnerabilities. I think that hacking tools are awesome, but if you're someone who cannot get away without using them or know nothing about manual testing, you're going to be a mediocre professional at best. Tools should enable you to cover boring and automated aspects of your assessments, thus freeing up more time for high-yielding activities. And by high-yielding, I mean activities that increase your chances of finding valid non-duplicate vulnerabilities. A duplicate vulnerability in the context of bug bounty hunting and security research is a vulnerability or a bug that upon submission via a report is regarded as duplicate, meaning that someone else already submitted it. And this makes your report less valuable from a reward perspective. Now, getting back to tools, automation and manual testing. Tools should help you map the infrastructure of your target when it comes to Recon and enable the bigger picture. Then, tools should help you narrow down your attack space or reduce the number of attack vectors to those attack vectors that appear to be most high yielding. And I'll get to a specific example in a moment. It is only rarely that tools will get you bugs or valid reports in of themselves, such as in the case of automated vulnerability scanners, for example. Plus, automated scanners are more often than not notorious for being extremely pricey and very inefficient in true positives or in actually finding valid bugs. So I want to be emphasizing the fact that if you're on your way to be a true professional, you will be using tools to your own advantage and then develop manual testing skills to put you ahead of your competition. And none of this is possible without writing things down, without writing and developing your own methodology. And I hope that by now you already have a pen and paper at hand, or you have your word processor fired up and you're taking notes. Let me give you an example of an ideal testing scenario that combines automation with manual testing. Say that you have start.google.com as your target. First, tools such as Subroot, Find Domains, CRTSH, Census, and others will enable you to find the majority of Google's subdomains. The exact details of such process, we're going to look into them in an upcoming lesson. Second, with a very big list of subdomains, you will now be using tools to help you identify the ones that are up and running. So I'm talking about the subdomains. You could be using someone else's tools, such as HTTP probe by TomNomNom, or you could be coding your own tools in Bash and or Python. Third, with a narrowed down list of valid subdomains, you will be using tools to look for sensitive or private files or directories. Fourth, with a list of sensitive files and directories, you will be using tools to parse very large sensitive files, such as JS files, for example. At the same time, you can do manual recon of the target by grabbing banners, by identifying the software running on the target, or the multiple apps running on the target. You could also manually look through sensitive files. And when you do that, when you manually go through files, you will understand how valuable this activity is versus the inefficiency of an automated parser tool. We're going to be looking into JS files, manual versus automated, in a later lesson. Now, if you're dealing with a generic web application, you will preferably be using your manual skills to test for OWASP Top 10 web vulnerabilities, and not only. Manual Bash or Linux terminal skills will allow you to process and clean very large files into concise bits of valuable information. Command line and programming skills will further put you in an advantaged position over other researchers. You will combine output from tools such as Burp Suite and SQL Map with manual validation and further investigation. And this is just a very rough overview of how a potential scenario for an assessment can look like. My whole point here is that to be a solid security professional with powerful recon skills, you will always be fine-tuning the usage of tools with manual testing so that you can optimize for time management and, of course, for the highest yielding activities.